But before we start, some of the key things, well, let's talk about what we spoke about last week and the week before. So the first week we spoke about setting up Google My Business, so to help you be found on Google for free if somebody's doing a search for something that you offer, your services, your products. We then last week spoke about Google Search Console, which kind of helps you with your new website or existing website to see where there are errors. Google helps with that, and helps you it guides you to fix things that Google sees problems with. From that, you can go back to the website and make the changes, and off you go. Search Console then can plug into Google Analytics, which we're going to talk about today, and you can kind of have a single window of all the information from your website and your visitors in one place by combining the two. So Google Analytics and Search Console. So today we're going to talk about Google Analytics. It is going to be technical. I'm going to try and keep it as layman as possible. The presentation I've got has got a lot of wording in, and I've developed the presentation more of a walkthrough guide for you to kind of do this on your own. So if I skip or jump or move very fast through the slides, they will be available for you guys to kind of use it later on your own. So what is Google Analytics? So basically it's a tool to kind of help you track what people are doing on your website, or to track your ads, to see what you're doing on your website is right, to see if your keywords are being effective. And it allows you to kind of analyze this data in a format that's quite easy to read. And it'll take a little bit of time to get used to it, but there's a lot of stuff you can do with Google Analytics. You can modify to match what you're looking for. So Google will give you a template that's already there, and it kind of gives you information about your website, your ads, whatever it is that you want to follow. And you can kind of click through it, change it, add things, remove things. It's quite versatile. As I said, it can become quite technical. This presentation's got a lot of information in it. The PDF that I will provide is going to have even further information on it, and it'll help you understand what the acronyms mean, because there's a lot of acronyms in analytics. So let's move forward and see why we're going to use Google Analytics. So these guys have been around since 2005. It's free, so you don't have to subscribe. Well, you have to subscribe for it. I think the first thing we spoke about in the first session that I've done is you need a Gmail account or a Google account, which you need to use to be able to log into this before you can connect it onto your website. As you can see, Google is everywhere. It's 29 million websites. 55% of websites in the world use Google Analytics. I think one of the processes that I follow when I'm helping a customer with a new website is we have to integrate Google into the backend. And I follow the Google My Business, Google Search Console, Google Analytics, and I plug it all into the back of the website. It makes a lot of sense. Google as a search engine is the most used search engine around the world and in South Africa. I mean, if you speak to anybody, they'll always tell you, where do I find this? Everybody says, go to Google. So plugging it into the back of your website for free is absolutely important and imperative. A lot of people using websites. I mean, the most common website content management platform at the moment is WordPress. It's quite simple to use once you get to know it, and Google is very much attached to the product. It has many tools created by Google as well as other parties to help you get the most out of your Google Analytics in conjunction with your website. So plugging this into the back of your WordPress website is quite simple. I will take you through that later on in the website, in the presentation, excuse me. So as you can see here, Google Analytics is the top 5 analytics tool being used. It's been around for a while. It is trusted. It is well written. It gives you a lot of information. There are other tools that you can use to get similar kind of information, but from a support perspective, there's a wealth of information out there. There's many people you can reach out to kind of offer assistance or get some guidance. Google itself has got a lot of walkthrough and information areas that can kind of explain if you get stuck. So it's a great tool. It's got a lot of benefits. As you can see, they identified by Alexa, it has got 64% of the top 1 million domains in the world. It's a lot of numbers. Where does it get used? As you can see, businesses use Google Analytics a lot. Yes, there are bigger packages, things like Adobe has a platform which is aimed at enterprise type customers, and it's a very expensive tool to kind of start with, and you need a ton of information and a ton of data to kind of get the best out of it. Whereas Google helps you with the information that they've got and offers you guidance around your specific vertical or business. So another handy thing about it. So let's talk about setting up Google Analytics. So there's a link there which you guys can just click on. This first few steps are quite simple. Obviously, you need a Google account. You need to sign into it. Click on the link and then go through the page. You'll be presented with a few options. You can see there's about 3 steps to go through. I'll cover those 3 steps through this presentation. So once you've gone through the first 3 steps, or the first step, and you've signed in to Google Analytics, you'll be presented with this kind of information. The walkthrough will show you what to set up, where to set it up. And this, I think the presentation will also help you kind of plan what you want in your Google Analytics account and potentially what's needed. It will take you through, setting it up, choosing your industry, giving your website a name, and then obviously plugging in your URL. Once you've done that, you will set up your data sharing options, which will then lead you to your tracking ID. This is where it becomes quite technical. And I know from the previous session, there were some people that had challenges with some of the information, some of the ways to install this. If you have a webmaster or somebody that's helping you develop your website, you can send them this information and they'll help you stick it in the back. Or there's a simpler way of loading tools that'll help on the back of your website, but we'll get to that. So the most important part of setting up Google Analytics and connecting it to your website is the tracking info. So there's a tracking code, which is this ID over here, the UA number. This is what connects everything to Google and vice versa. So this helps Google collect information from your website and follow users to and from your website. It can give you the information of where they've come from, be it social media, be it through a Google search or other, or if somebody's just typed in your website address. It gives you that. It's quite granular in that perspective. So this tracking code is what Google's going to use to gather that information from your website and any other platform that you've connected Google to. So I'm going to talk about setting Google up once we've gone through and you've received your tracking code, setting it up with a WordPress content management system. It's quite intensive. There's a couple of ways of doing this. This is method 1, which is about copying the code that Google gives you. I'm going to go back a page. When you're over here, this tracking code that's over here in the red box is what's going to be needed. So you can kind of copy this from script to script. You then go back to your website. This is where a programmer or a webmaster will help you if you're not too comfortable with this. You basically got to go into you type in your website address /wp/admin on WordPress. It'll ask you for login details, and then you go You click on the Appearance tab, scroll down to Editor. It'll bring up this page, which looks like this. This can be quite daunting. But so Google recommends that you paste that code into every single page so that Google can track it. The easiest way to do this in a WordPress site is you look for the header template. It's called header.php. Now, header.php on your website is on every single page. It gets, every time you open a new page, it pulls it in, and it obviously then pulls the rest of your page in. So it is on every single page, so you don't have to go through every single page and paste this in. So you just open up your header.php and you paste that code in above the /head option.
Renato,
yes.
Can I ask you a question, please? So
Sure.
if you have set up Google SEO through Wix for your website, do you still need to do this detailed Google Analytics? Or can you even use other platforms like Wix?
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as I understand, Wix has got under, I think it's under its marketing section, has got an option for you to just punch in the code. So that UA number that I showed you earlier, you can plug that in easily into Wix. It's got a section for Google tracking built into Wix.
Thank you.
Cool. So you've pasted in your code, you've saved the template, the PHP file, and then off you go. So as you can see there, as I mentioned, you paste it in above the head tag. Oh, I didn't want to do that. And then off you go and save it. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go back to Google after about 12 to 24 hours, and you can start seeing the traffic coming through. Google also gives you the option to send test traffic, and that will basically just ensure and confirm that you've loaded the code correctly. So you can kind of get a response back from your website. So that's one way of doing an installation. That's the hard way, the technical way. There is an easier way. And again, we're talking about WordPress here. So the second method is to use tools. So I'm going to talk about Monster Insights. It's a plugin that you can download for free on the back of your WordPress site. As you can see on the left-hand side, you just go to the plugin section, go to Add New, and then you'll search for Monster Insights. Do the installation, and then we'll go through the setup. Google has recently launched a tool called Google Site, which does something very similar to this. It's a plugin, and all you need to do is basically just give it the code. It will do the rest for you, which makes it even easier, and then present you with a page that looks very similar to what I'll show you later on in the Google Analytics profile. And it will also show a little bit of the information that you get out of Search Console in one page, which is also quite nice. So we've got Monster Insight. It's installed, set up. Well, it's not set up, it's installed. You then scroll down to your Insights page, which is you'll see a new menu pop up once you've finished the installation and activated the plugin. You go to the settings profile. You're presented with a page like this, and click on Authenticate with your Google account, put in your code, and off you go. So it's a lot easier than going and trying to paste code into a page that for most people looks quite daunting. So there are other ways of installing analytics into the back of your WordPress website. So here's the tough part. Here's the hard part. This is quite technical. I'm going to try and keep it as layman as I can. This is about setting up Google Analytics, so you can get the best out of it. We've set up our property, and we've copied the link across the tracking code, and now we've got to go in and kind of set Google Analytics up so we can get the best information possible that we understand, that we want to follow and track from our website and our visitors. So the first thing you want to do is set up site search. So it's not automatically set to on, it's off. So you're going to have to walk through the process. You'll be presented with a page like this. There's another 2 columns on the left of this. If you click on this little square button, you'll see the other columns, which is account, property, and then view. So you'll click on the account tab, you'll make sure that your website is selected, and then the same underneath property, and then you'll be presented with this page. You'll have to click this little button here to click on site search tracking. What does that do for you? Let's go to the next page, I'll show you. So this allows you to kind of query a lot more from Google Analytics and your traffic. It looks for a lot more on your website, and it gathers a lot more information. So this URL it gives you here is a query parameter, and it's right for mobile. And after you've set this all up, you save it, and your site search is enabled. The next thing you need to do is set up goals. So I've met a few customers that don't do this. This basically gives you information about the things you want your customers to do. So on an e-commerce site, everyone wants them to go and put something in the cart and then pay for it and close the sale. On a blog, for example, you might want somebody to click through to a specific page and take a specific action. On a normal website, you might want to have people to go to your, sign up here, or any form that you've created on your website, and you want people to go to that form and fill in their details so you can start building up a database of customers. And this setting up the goal will allow you to track how people are getting to that point, where they're clicking from, how long they're staying on the page, etc. So you're allowed to create up to 20 goals, which is quite a lot. I mean, a goal can be quite lengthy, and it can achieve quite a few things. So let's take a quick walkthrough on how to set up a goal and learn about your audience, obviously. So again, you've got those 3 properties. You're going to, under the view section, you're going to click goals. You're going to click new goal, and you're going to start setting up a goal. What's nice about Google is they give you options. So, I mean, you can go use a template, or you can set up your own custom. I think initially you'd set up a template just to get a feel for how analytics works and the kind of information it presents to you. And later on, you can then go and create something more custom once you've got a better understanding of what Google Analytics has got to offer. So then there's 3 options. There's 3 templates. Well, sorry, there's 3 options to setting up your goal. So one is a template, as you saw now, and you've got a whole lot of little circles that you can go fill in, radio buttons, and select what you want to achieve out of the goal. Custom is obviously a lot more technical, and you can put in your own parameters. You can select some of what Google offers, and you can become more granular in your custom goal than you would out of a template. And then there's smart goals. So if something we'll talk about in next week's session is setting up Google Ads and using AdWords. One of the things that Google Ads offers is a smart ad, which the smart goals in this case will help track and help you make the right decisions in getting the best out of your ad and helping you to get people to convert more frequently on your ad by updating it. And the same goes for your website. You can kind of see, you're getting people to your FAQ page or your contact page, but they're not clicking on the fill in the details that you want them to. You can kind of adjust your website to kind of change it. So if you see that people are only scrolling down a little bit of the page and not quite getting to the contact form, you can adjust your page to accommodate the goal that you're trying to achieve. So setting up a goal, you're obviously going to give it a description. So we were talking about filling in your contact details. You can call that a lead form. You could have a contact form on your product pages or your information pages that tells people about your business or what you do. And then once they get to the bottom of the page or somewhere along, through their reading process, they can fill in the details and say, I like what you've got. Here's my name, my email, my phone number. Please, can you get in touch with me? I'd like to, speak a bit more about this. So that, in this case, we're setting up a lead submission form. And then once that's finished, you then take them to another page that kind of says thank you, and you want to measure that they're actually getting to the thank you page in this case. Thanks for filling in the form. So the person fills in the form, clicks submit, the page pops up. That goal then tracks that and sees that you've actually gone through to that page that you wanted the people to go through. So people are starting to fill in your form. So we're talking about subscriptions. You can obviously, there's different settings that you can set up. There's different types of settings that you can set up here. So one is destination, which I've just spoken about, getting to the thank you page for completing the subscription form. You might want to measure, how long people are spending time on your web page. So that is called bounce rate. Obviously, the more time people spend on your website, the more benefit you're offering and getting from the website, because you want the people to stay, you want them to read what you've got and potentially fill in a form. Then there's pages or screens per session. And a session is somebody types in your details or whatever they're looking for that you're offering from Google. They click on your website and they view what you've presented them. So it could be your homepage with the product, services, and anything else that you kind of offer. You can kind of track them to see what they've clicked on and how many pages they've viewed. And then there's an event. So if you've got a bot, for example, on your website, or you want them to watch a video or something to that effect, the events option will kind of measure whether they're going through to the video. So reading your page, at the bottom of the page or middle of the page, you've got a little video, you want them to click on it. That will measure if you've actually achieved that or not. And again, these goals are there to help you kind of see what's working and what's not working. And it allows you to adjust your page or your content of your website to kind of better achieve what your goals you set out to achieve. Then we get into the goal details. So we've chosen destination in this option, and we're still talking about filling in a subscription form of some sort, and you want them to get to the thank you page, which kind of presents itself after they've clicked subscribe or send or whatever you've set up your button to be. So this option gives you an expression if you want. You can choose what the expression is. So it could be equals to, begins with, or it's just you type in a regular expression if you know what the expression is. Again, it's optional. And it helps you compare and measure conversions and any changes from the changes you've made on your website. Obviously, if you choose smart goals, you cannot assign a monetary value in this case. So if you are measuring, if whatever you're presenting, it could be a download, and that download might bring you, you can choose a monetary value on that to say, if somebody downloads this ebook, I know that they will contact me, and the potential deal of them doing that could be 10 Rand, whatever it is. So you can kind of put that monetary value in, and Google will present you with that number when you go through your analytics reports. It will kind of say you've had it downloaded 10 times and you've made 100 Rand out of that ebook, as an example. So it helps you track what you want people to do and obviously to see if it's working and the benefits that you get out of it. another thing you can kind of do with your goals, you can set a duration on it. So if you're running a promo or a special or something, or an event, if you like, where people can sign on from your website, register on your website, or it's a deal that's valid for 20 days, whatever it is. I mean, you can set it up how long that goal will run. So once you finish setting up your goal, it will activate on the day, and it will run for the duration that you've set up. So if it's going to run for 2 hours, 2 days, 7 days, whatever the case is, after that, the goal will stop working until you edit it and change it to something else, or a longer duration or a different duration. So if we have a look at, if you've chosen the pages or screens per session, and you can kind of determine, you know, what is classified as conversion on your website. You can tell it how many pages people need to see for you to kind of say, okay, I've had a conversion. That conversion doesn't have to be a monetary value. I think in this state, you kind of want to see that people are coming to your website and not bouncing off straight away. So they do their Google search, they find what they want with your website being presented, they click on the page, it takes them to the page that they're interested in. And then while they're reading, they realize, no, I don't want to see this, and they go back to Google. So this goal will help you measure that. It will also kind of, you know, it will tell you, you know, what you're presenting to the customer or the person that's searching for you is not what they kind of want. Maybe there's too much text, maybe there's not enough images, and it allows you to kind of tweak your page to kind of keep people on that specific page and then move to the next one. So you'll have links in your page that kind of says, so step one is land here, watch this video, and then next page is go and download a PDF or whatever it is, an ebook. And then while they're busy going to that link that says download here, you want them to fill in details. So there's 3 pages there. So the first page would be, you know, I want them to land on this page. The second thing is I want them to take action and click on the link, which is, you know, download the PDF. The next action I want them to do is fill in the form, and then, you know, they go to the thank you page. And you can measure if that process is working as you've set it up. So the way you envisioned it working, this will tell you if it has or hasn't worked from a Google user perspective. So once you've finished, you can kind of click goals done, goals set up, and you can start, you know, viewing and reviewing the properties of this goal. So I think this is setting up another property. So if you've got more than one website, you can have more than one property. So if you've got 2 or 3 websites, one that kind of tells you about what you offer, which is kind of like a corporate website, with 2 or 3 other websites on the divisions, you can measure the same traffic in the same place on all 3 of those, or all 4 of those websites, whatever it is, under one analytics account, which is quite nice. So you don't have to shut it down or log out and log in with new contact details to go and see another website that you're busy tracking on. Okay, I've got a walkthrough after this slide, which I haven't finished, so I'm not going to show you that now. I'm going to rather take you through a live demo, if you like, on one of the customers that I've currently got, and you can kind of to show you what it looks like live. Let me just go to the page.
Sorry, Renato, just a question. Thank you. When you link it to a specific page, do you just copy paste the URL of that page? So like if you want it for sign up to our mentoring program, so we use that URL and put that into.
Yes, so in the properties page, it will assume that you've got www.ortjet.com already. So what you'll then paste in is / whatever the page is.
Okay.
So if you look at the URL on this page at the moment, this analytics.google.com, because you've set up your profile or your property, you've already got this. You will then have to plug in this as the page that you want people to go to. So you don't have to plug in the whole thing.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. So this is a new website that we created a couple of weeks ago, and we started gathering data using analytics. This account has also got Google Ads running, so you'll probably see some information about that here. This is the standard screen that Google Analytics offers you. Can you read this? I know I've got I like seeing things quite small. Is this legible to you?
Yes.
Lori?
For me, yes.
This? Okay, great.
You look closely. Yeah.
Do you want me to zoom in a bit? So
if you can. Yeah, that's better.
That?
Thank you.
Okay.
Better.
Okay, so this is kind of the landing page that you'll be presented with once you log into your Google Analytics account. There's a lot of information here, which is quite handy. You can kind of measure how many people have been to your website, how many sessions there have been, what's your bounce rate, and how long people are spending on your website. That's a really good time. So people are quite interested in this customer's product, and they're spending a lot of time reading and going through what the site presents to them. And obviously you can kind of click on the links at the bottom here to get a lot more in-depth information about this. But they're also here on the left-hand side. I'm just going to talk about this page for now. So you can, in real time, kind of see how many people are visiting your page right now. And you can actually scroll down and see where they've come from, how long they've been on the page, etc., etc. This little insight over here will give you little snippets of information about your website, about the industry that you set your analytics account up for, best practices, and give you some information about your account and what you and recommendations about what you could potentially do or change to get more value out of this tool. This segment over here kind of, yes.
Can I ask a question? With the bounce rate,
yes.
What exactly does it mean? Because it doesn't mean, I understand that people just get thrown out. It still means that they visited. Is that correct?
Correct. So basically what bounce rate means is that Google talks about, if you've done a search on google.co.za for whatever, the page is presented. So they click on the link onto your website, and then they go to the website. So the bounce rate is when they leave your website to go back to Google, or they close the page and leave your website. So you want
without having spent, sorry, without having spent any time there.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Well, the amount of time. And you can set up a goal to kind of see that information if you want. So part of the 20 goals that you can set up, I want to see if people stick around for longer than 5 minutes or 2 minutes or whatever the case is. If people come into your website and leave straight away, they're not finding what they're looking for. So that kind of tells you, I don't have the right content. My heading is too big or too small, or people have got to scroll too far down my website to find the information that they want. Let's adjust it.
Thank you.
So this little snippet talks about where your customers are coming from, where your visitors are coming from. And obviously it tells you, is it a direct search? So they've typed in your web address and also they've gone. If you've run an ad and they've been found through your ad, and this is also display. So kind of, if they found you from a YouTube video on one of the ads that you're running, or have they found you from the little News 24 app that you've got on your phone and clicked through to come to your website to find out more information. This is the organic search is, you know, have they typed something into Google search and then gone through that, or they've gone through, you know, from another website which has got a link back to your website. And then other traffic, you know, from wherever it can't really read, it can't decipher or determine exactly where it's coming from. So there's another option. So this is the location. Obviously, it gives you a nice little graphic to kind of show you where people are coming from. In this case, I've had 55 visitors in the last 6 days from South Africa. There are people, you know, visiting from the United States. This is quite a nice graphic. I use it a lot in planning various things, not only relating to the website. It kind of gives you an idea, you know, what time people are coming to your website, which day is the best day for them to come and visit your website, and what time. So if you're about to publish a blog, you see that people come through on a Monday at 10 o'clock quite often. That's probably a really good time to post a new blog, as an example, or to publish that new sale you're about to start, or offer some new content or information about your business, or, you know, whatever it is. This is kind of a good time potentially to start doing that. Otherwise, you could do it again, in this case, on a Tuesday, just after, you know, kind of just after lunch. Nice insight.
Mm.
And then obviously this is the most important, you know, where are people going on your website? So this is your homepage. So whatever your domain is, this is inteltagrfid.com. A lot of people are going to the homepage and then clicking through to, you know, our services, the products, about them, blah, blah, blah. Nice to know which pages are getting the right, you know, which pages are getting traffic. And it'll also tell you which is not. So why is my team's pages not being visited? So I'm just assuming in this case, they've got a team page that kind of tells you who's who in the zoo, how many people work for them, and if there's any profiles. So maybe we need to have a look at the website and say, well, is Teams on the menu bar? Yes. Okay, so it's not being visited. Do we need to move the Teams item closer to the home button on the menu bar? Maybe that'll work. And then you can measure the changes over here. This shows active users as a trend over time. And you can kind of, all of these, you can kind of change, you know, the look and feel, how often people are visiting, when have we started tracking, how long, you know, what's happened in the last 90 days. You can kind of go and say, well, this one, we started running an ad, you know, we've published new content here. You can kind of track back what you've done to help you see what worked. So why have we dropped all of a sudden?
Ronaldo?
Yes. Hannah, how are you?
May I ask you, hi, fine, yourself?
Yeah, good, thank you.
I actually did not understand the section of when the page, the traffic, when you have a traffic and regarding the team and the traffic, what you really mean?
Just over here?
It just was one page before that.
This piece over here?
It was just a section before. You were talking about the trafficking and the team button.
Oh, that. Okay, so I was talking about a page. So I was looking at this page over here. So this little widget tells you, you know, which pages are being visited. So I'm just making an assumption that these guys have got a page that says team, or my team, or teams, or, you know, people that work for the company. And on this page, they'll have, you know, the directors, the sales people, the technical people, whatever it is. And they might have a picture with a little profile, a little blurb, and maybe linked to like their LinkedIn page, whatever it is. So you can use this to kind of see what pages are being visited and what are not. So in this case,
in other words, I will be able to track which pages they visiting.
Correct, your visitors. If you want them to visit a specific page, like in my example, I want them to visit the Teams page, and I want to put my people up there. so this page will help me decide what do I need to do to make it appear here. So people go to that page more often than our services, for example. So that's one benefit of this section.
Okay. 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 Thanks.
So basically, what Google Analytics does is it helps you track where people are coming from, set goals to see if what you've presented on your website is working, and to see if changes are actually attaining the right, the achievement that you want. So if you want somebody to fill in a form and that form's not showing up here, you can kind of sit back and go back to your site and say, why is this form not showing up? Or why is this page not showing up? There could be an error on the page. Your page layout could be wrong. You could change coloring, whatever the case is. This is what analytics, in a nutshell, kind of helps you achieve. So this is specifically on, what pages do your customers visit? And it will kind of tell you, the page that I want shown is not showing. I have to sit back and think about how to fix it. Hannah, is that happy? Do you understand?
Sorry?
Do you got it now?
Do I have what?
Do you understand? Does that
Yes, I
make sense?
do. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
No problem. You're welcome. This last graphic, well, it's not the last, this graphic on the right. So this shows where people are coming from and viewing this website the most. In this case, people are using a desktop. So these guys are aiming at a corporate type environment and corporate people, which means, they're getting the traffic that they want from the right area. Some websites, if you've got an e-commerce shop, you'll see this graphic changes. So there will be more people potentially visiting from a mobile device. What this helps you do is, so you can kind of see my website needs to be set up nicely for the average size screen, which is a desktop or a laptop. And I must make sure I present that correctly to the people that are visiting my page from a desktop perspective. If this was flipped around, you would make sure that your website is ready for mobile. So it has accelerated mobile pages, which means that if you change the size of your website, this is a mobile friendly website. As you can see, things change if I was on a mobile device. And that little graphic helps you determine that. And obviously present it correctly to the people that are visiting your page.
Renato?
Yes.
Just a question about that sessions by device. If there's red arrows going down, like mobile down 18.2%, what does that mean?
So you're getting less and less people from mobile in the last 7 days than you did in the previous 7 days.
Oh, okay.
So it's dropped. The amount of people using, in this case, if this was a negative 15% and the arrow was pointing down, you hopefully have this number as a positive and it's showing the 15% you've dropped here on this side. So people have moved, in that scenario, people have moved from desktop to mobile to viewing your site or vice versa. And it compares it, over the last 7 days compared to the 7 days before that. And again, you can kind of change this and measure it over a different period and you can compare, Make sense? Answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And then this is how well do you retain your users? So this is not a single view. This is kind of a view over a month. As you can kind of see, these guys are losing their users, their visitors by week 2. So we probably have to sit down and strategize on how do we keep those people there and what do we have to do on our website to bring that number up from losing them on week 1 to week 2 and so on. Then these guys have got Google Ads running. It kind of gives you an idea of what they've spent. in this case, they haven't set up revenue from the ads. It depends, on what the ad runs. So if you've got an ad, for example, that runs, that points at a specific product, and you've set up in that ad that product sells for 10 Rand, and you've had 3 people, in this case, 3 people visit it, it's cost you 14 Rand for those 3, so divided by 3, and then you would have made 30 Rands worth of sales to show up. And you can kind of then go into your Google Ads and kind of see more detail.
Sorry, Ronaldo, may
Yes.
I ask you a question? Do we
Sure.
ever to pay for ad that we put on Google Business?
Yes. No. So Google My Business, you'll do a post. You don't pay for that. A Google ad is something we'll talk about next week. Would you pay for those?
So you do pay for Google Ad?
For Google Adverts, yes, but not for Google Posts on Google My Business. So they're 2 different things.
Okay, perfect. So you will cover it next week.
Yeah, so let's just give you an example here. If we search for these guys specifically, they do linen management. No, let's try laundry management. Is direct. So this is an ad over here, and this you pay for. So if I click on this now, these guys will be charged for that click. And when I click on this, I'll be presented with a number which I can dial directly from my computer or my phone. You
pay as people visit your ad. You pay per person that visit your ad.
Correct. So there's a few ways that you get paid with an ad, but we'll talk about that next week. But yes, in essence, if I click on here, he'll be billed whatever the cost is of that click. And then that click will then be measured in this, which is that, which will be measured in one of these areas of the click, and then the bill will obviously go up. So that's what the section. So yes, but we'll talk about ads next week. We'll dig a bit deeper into ads, how to set it up, etc.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the page that you're presented with on your home screen when you log in, and kind of everything's set up. The next thing that you've got here, you can change the screen if you like, and you can create your own dashboard and present you with the information that you want. What's nice is they give you a free tool called Google Data Studio. It's pretty comprehensive, but it is limited, and there are pay-for options on it. And there are templates that will help you kind of give you a starting point to set up, instead of you having to go through the whole, process without understanding how it all fits together. And then it will be presented with, whichever the dashboard is, and you can click on it and see the information you want to see. Custom reports, again, it allows you to see what you want to see rather than just that front page that Google Analytics offers. Once you've created your reports, they'll show up here as the report that you saved. You can set up alerts. I mean, that's part of your goal process. If you want to alert how many times people have phoned you, as an example, on one of your ads, you can kind of set up an alert to send you an email or an SMS, or there's an error on your page, whatever the case is. We kind of touched on real time. So this gives you an overview of what's happening on your website right now. It's got a nice little walkthrough, a nice little video to explain what it all is and how it all fits together. And if you've got an e-commerce store, this you want to be extremely busy. And you want them to kind of stick around for a while. So this will have a lot of data in it. you want to see where, where your customers are coming from, you can kind of zoom in onto this page to see exactly where they've come from. So if it's Pretoria, Cape Town, Durban, whatever the case is. You want to see where your customers are coming from. You want to see which social platform your customers are coming from, and the keywords that they're using to find you. We'll talk more about keywords and AdWords next week on setting up ads, but keywords are also quite key on search engine optimization. So if you've got the right keywords plugged into the back of your website, they will show up here, and you can kind of see what's working. Locations, but obviously, you can drill down into where people are coming from as part of the country. I mean, if you've got a campaign that's focusing on Cape Town only, you want to make sure that obviously the visitors that you've got are coming from Cape Town for that specific ad. This is quite handy. This tells you, where people are coming from. So social media, mobile devices, using whatever Internet Explorer browsers, etc. And it helps you, if you've set up your website in a specific way, you can kind of see, well, hang on, people are using, I'm using a web browser called Brave at the moment. People are using Brave, doesn't support my website. So the one nice thing about Brave is I can block cookies, I can block analytics, I can block things. So if your website has got pop-ups and you like to put cookies on to help you track stuff, if somebody like me is viewing your website, how am I going to get to this person without being able to track? How do I know that this person is actually seeing everything on my website? So it helps you set up your website to accommodate things like this.
Ronaldo, can I ask you regarding that cookie stuff that all the time appears whenever you open a website?
Yes.
It's actually irritates me all the time. When you open something that says confirm, a cookie confirm or whatsoever.
Yes. So basically,
yeah.
So if you're going to load Google Analytics onto the web page, onto your website, you will be putting a cookie on somebody's PC to track them. So what a cookie does is you put a little piece of software. It's a little file that you dump onto the user's machine. It's tiny, it's really small. And what that does is it looks at where the person goes. So a good example is if you set up an ad, while you're going through the process of the ad, you can kind of say, I want to see female between the ages of 18 and 25 that are interested in makeup, as an example. That cookie on that machine tracks where these people go. If this person is that person you're looking for, that cookie's information then gets sent to Google and tells Google, hang on, this is what you're looking for. This person is the person that you're looking for in the ad, and it will present an ad to them. So you've been onto a website, let's say News24. What did I type wrong here? News. No, that doesn't work. So obviously I'm using Brave. It's not going to help so much, but you can kind of see an ad like that on Google 24. And if I had to click on any of the ads on this page, a cookie gets kept on my page, on my PC, and it will say, I've looked at the ad. And then next time I come to News24, the ad will change onto something that I've been searching for. So that's what the cookie does. It measures and tracks what you're doing as an individual on that PC. So basically, that little pop-up is telling you that before you continue, we do use cookies to monitor what you do on my website. And some websites, if you say decline, will kick you off. So it depends on how they've got it set up. Okay. Cool. So as you can see, somebody's just popped onto this website and they're on the mobile device and they're on the homepage. So this is real-time live content view. It gives you that information. So quite handy. Events, obviously you're gonna have to set up events. So in this case right now, there is nothing set up. It just tells me that somebody's logged onto the page, they've come up from mobile, and then it will start gathering information about what they're doing on the page. If you've got goals set up and you've got a conversion, so these guys don't have any goals set up. This is more about active users. So if you've got a goal set up that says, I want somebody to put something in the cart and I want it to be this specific product, it will tell you on this page, you know, how that's working for you.
So Renato,
Over a little bit today. Yes.
sorry, you could just follow this user's movement right now to see what's actually working, and what
Correct.
isn't.
Absolutely. Under real time, yes.
Amazing. Thank you.
So I'm going to fly through the rest because I see we're running out of time. So under audience, this is quite handy when you want to set up an advert, or let's focus on ads as an example. So this kind of says to you, you know, these are the kind of people that are visiting your page. They're coming from these areas. So we can see South Africa, US, Great Britain, people that just have their website set up as English, and this is China. So the languages, so it's English, 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 and then Chinese. You can kind of see, you know, which country they come from, which city they come from, and you can target your ads to people in those areas. So there's a wealth of information available to you here. As I was talking about browser, you can kind of see which browsers people are using. And you can target those browsers as well from an ad perspective. What are the operating systems? So obviously this is a phone, PC, this is an Apple, etc. I don't know if this will present anything. Yep, I didn't think so. And then again, from a mobile device. We've just kind of seen active users. Somebody just popped onto the page. How many people you've had, how long, you know, in the 14 days, what is the, you know, we showed the graphic on the front page on how you lose people. So 100% of people visit on the first week. The second week, it kind of drops down to 60-odd%. This is the same kind of view over that period. So you can kind of see when you're losing people. Let's go to audiences. And so this will tell you, you know, what people have used this site. Are they visiting? How long they've stuck around? You could, on an e-commerce site, you can kind of see where they're going. If they're the same, if they're similar users, if they're returning users, how many sessions they've had on your page. Demographics, again, great way to kind of target your ads. This will normally give you a view of, you know, how many men, how many males, how many females, what is the age gap that they've got. Let's see if this gives you information. We probably won't have any information on yet, but it'll tell you, you know, 18 to 20, 20 or 24, I think it is, 24 to 30, 30 to 36, or, you know, the numbers kind of grow that way, and you can kind of target specific people, specific ages, specific genders when you're setting up an ad. So this kind of gives you an overview of what the interests are, okay, who you've reached, what they're currently looking at, viewing, what are the categories they in this case we're not tracking anything. If there's anything the last 30 days, yeah. An idea. So there we go. So people that are interested in food and dining, cooking enthusiasts and chefs, you know, they're quite high up on the list. These guys do RFID tracking of uniforms. So it kind of gives you an idea. These are the people looking at the page. I should start targeting them for my ads, as an example. Market segments, these are all about employment, so just not going to show you much different there. Geography is obviously where they're coming from. The behaviors, obviously new versus returning and how often they come back. The technology they use, which we kind of showed a bit earlier. Are they coming from mobile? Are they switching between devices? What are the channels that they're coming from? Let's see, it's not set up. This basically will show you they're coming from social media, or they're coming from, you know, a specific type of browser, which channel they're coming from. This is quite handy. There's a different way that this gets, there we go. So as I mentioned earlier, you can kind of set up a goal. This will help you set up a goal. You know, if you want people to go to the About page, you know, how are they finding the About page? So yes, they're coming in through, you know, the domain, your home page. The next page they kind of click is either About, Services, and then where they're going from the About page. So you can kind of see the journey that people take from the landing page or from wherever you've set up your goals or your ads or etc. So you can kind of see what's working, what's not working. Nice little graphic. I think that's probably all we have for today from a time perspective. Laurie?
So there are no other questions that have come through in the chat box that you haven't covered, Renato. And is there anything else for Renato before we leave this afternoon?
Yes, yes, please. Yes, please.
Cool.
Renato, when you showed that whole list of tasks that you can look at on the left, where do you find that? Because when I open my Monsters, which I've got, Monster Insights, I get straight through to the actual results, to the sessions and page views, etc.
Okay. Where's my presentation? So on the left-hand side, you've got the little Insights button, and then, you know, in the black column on the left-hand side of your screen. If you go to Settings,
Yeah.
so you hover your mouse over the Insights section, and there's a little menu will pop out on the right-hand side, and you scroll down, well, you move down to, I think it's the second from the top, it's called Settings.
Okay. And then?
And then you can authenticate with Google account and fill in the details.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So, like I said, there's another way. It's called Google Sites. So if you want to look for that plugin, Google Sites. It's a Google product. It's a Google plugin. It will pull all this information into your website, if you like, into the home, the admin page. So it'll give you the same information and a little bit more than what Monster Insights will, because it pulls from Google and sends back to Google.
It's Google Site, S-I-G-H-T?
No, I-T-E, as in website.
S-I-T-E.
Yes.
Okay.
So Renato, thank you so much for this incredibly valuable session. I think it was definitely one of the topics that people were really, really interested to hear about. I have a beautiful comment from Ellis in our chat box, who said this was such a great session. He always had difficulty with analytics, and we are so extremely grateful to you for giving us your time and sharing your wealth of expertise with us this morning. We look forward to our next week's session on Wednesday at 11 a.m.